Don't miss HIA's podcast Made to Build, where we explore the foundations of Australia's residential building industry, one conversation at a time. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts. Gavin Hepper from Concepts by Gavin Hepper is here to spend a little bit of time with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's really exciting to be here. Most clients are saying, I want an AM zone within their kitchen. So that's a space where it's hard working of a morning. They come home from work and school, you shouldn't see the craziness of the morning. So that pockets away. For us, it's all about the client. And I almost call it the umbrella effect, that we sit the client in the core and we get all of the professionals needed within that group to sit in a round table, if you like, with the clients at the core to advise on their home and on their build. The only tool you can't live without, besides my stubby holder, it'd probably be my phone, images, site images, and recording progress of our projects. Sadly enough, it's my phone.
It's the ultimate multi-tool.
A lot of our clients are not talking about an investment anymore. They're talking about we're staying there, and it's a multi-generational build.
Welcome back to another episode of Made to Build, powered by the HIA. Today we're here with a man who wears many hats. Richard, can you introduce him to us, please?
All right, so this is a great episode that I'm really looking forward to because, as you know, the two rooms that change the most in any house, be it during a renovation or be it in terms of design, kitchen and bathroom.
100%.
Okay, so Gavin Hepper from Concepts by Gavin Hepper is here to spend a little bit of time with us and have a bit of a chat through not just where the industry is and where it's been, but also where it's going. So Gavin's an experienced practitioner, both in terms of a builder and a designer.
Yep.
And you're also on the HIA New South Wales Kitchen and Bathrooms Committee, and you've also won awards with the HIA for your kitchens and bathrooms.
There you go. It doesn't sound like I have to say anything, does it? Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's really exciting to be here and share my knowledge and and wisdom, I suppose. And as you say, the forecasts of where we see the industry's going. So I'm really excited. Let's get into it.
And the thing that struck me about your well, I'll call it your CV, is that you've got both you wear both a builder's hat and a designer's hat.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if you could step us through what that journey was and how it was that you came to be, because it's an unusual sort of approach to have.
Yeah, it is. It's quite unique, and I'm aware it's a huge advantage that we have within the practice. So I am still a licensed tradie within New South Wales. So that's a kitchen, bathroom, laundry trade license. So I actually started off as a furniture fabricator and detail joiner as a trade, out of working on the tools through my apprenticeship, and then I think I was about sort of 4 or 5 years in, and I held quite a senior position within a large joinery firm. What was evident to me at that point that there was a lot of upset clients paying good money for premium quality joinery with zero design detail. And so they perhaps didn't have a bin in their kitchen at all, or they'd open a drawer and it'd hit the oven or fridge door. So these key items like dishwashers and fridges and things couldn't interact together. So therefore, great quality products, but poorly designed detail. And that really organically lent into me realising I had a passion for design, and realised that these jobs that I was being asked to look at on the weekend, as tradies, when we're working for someone, we've always got the weekend jobs. And friends and family were wanting kitchens and bathrooms done. And so I started the design detail and soon realised that, I enjoyed it and I was having a good result from it. So I went and studied kitchen and bathroom design as well. And now I own my own interior design firm that looks after full interior designs for renovations and new builds, and of course still hold my license. So therefore I insist and make sure that all of our design details are extremely buildable, and when we hand them down through the trades, everyone respects and wants to build our documents because it actually has been drafted with someone that's been there and done that before.
Did you have to go back and do further study when you'd left your original firm? in your
Yes,
entering into the
I
interior design?
did, just to make sure that as I went through my journey, there was respect there. Not that any qualifications or anything's ever been asked for from anyone,
Yeah.
because I think your portfolio speaks for itself. Especially when you go on and win some significant HIA awards, there's immediately the confidence, triangle hanging in the studio front wall in the front window.
Well, that's good. And so when you touched on this in a previous comment where you said, it gives you a bit of an advantage if you're wearing those two hats and you're approaching it both as a builder and a designer. What are the ways that plays out, both for not just for the client, but also for the builder, also for the designer, like all of the various people that are involved in the process?
It's a great question, because it's something we concentrate on a lot within the studio. For us, it's all about the client, and I almost call it the umbrella effect. That we sit the client in the core, in the utmost shade, and we get all of the professionals needed within that group to sit around a circle, a round table, if you like, with the clients at the core, to advise on their home and on their build. From the architecture to all the professional services and engineers, geotechs, everyone that's needed should be within that on that table in those meetings as soon as they're required. So what that does from our perspective is, A, keeps the clients informed, B, most of our clients are really, really, really time poor. All right, so they've actually got professionals around the table to make the right decisions early in the piece, so the project can actually move really efficiently. So our design detailing means that, with the trade attached to it, means that we've got respect from all of those individuals and all the professionals, and we can speak the trade talk directly to the builders and the plumbers and the electricians as we go. So when we finally get to that point that we've got approval and we're moving some soil, or the builders are moving some soil, that we've been already working together for a good 12 months to design, detail it, material selections and everything with the client, and the builders and all the key stakeholders are involved from the outset all the way through to that detail.
It seems like yourself and your firm's really heavily involved within the whole building process.
Yeah.
Do people come to you before they've engaged a builder or an architect or anyone?
Sometimes, yes. And there's a lot of occasions where the clients are saying to us, we believe with our research we need to go to council. Do we need an architect, a drafty? Where do we head there? Can you recommend a builder for it? On the flip side, it is that people already come. They've already had approval. They've got their CC documents. They're getting to the point of almost starting to come out of the ground and realise they need assistance with their interiors, especially their joinery detailing, because joinery detailing, it's quite an expensive component on interiors, and people expect a lot out of it, especially when they're investing such big money in appliances. So they reach out at that point and say, hey, we need help. We're too busy arguing with one another, and the missus, the two at home, and they say, oh, we need you as the mediator in the middle. Great design, good detailing, and here's a budget for us to work to as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't that typically make it more difficult for you though, when the clients have already gone and got an approval for a home and they're coming back to you and seeking advice?
It's what we call a design challenge. It's one of them to say that, we take a brief, and the brief might call for a 6 by 12 kitchen, as in square meter, not square meter, but linear runs. And their brief really, doesn't lend to the size of the space that they have, and saying, well, can we use and borrow a little bit of space throughout the home as adjoining walls? Back to the engineer, are they load bearing? Are they not? And yes, of course it does. We're better when we've almost got that round table from the outset and looking at the whole thing, even down to the garage. How many cars do they have expected there to understand what sort of square meters are lent to what room of the home?
Yep. I want to go back to something that we were talking about a little bit earlier. As you know, kitchens and bathrooms, they are probably the most renovated rooms in any house. Like, it's just, the latest trend comes in, and 5-10 years go by, and then it's time to renovate again. If you were to put on your forward-thinking hat as a designer about what kitchens and bathrooms will look like in 5 years' time, what sort of things would we be seeing?
Oh, I love this. I've for many years been on the stage speaking about the future of kitchen and bathroom design and what the future looks like. I've had a passion, and I followed this many years ago on a trip to Milan, and saying that our kitchen and bathroom should know who we are as homeowners and know our habits. And almost to the bathroom, being able to walk in the bathroom of a morning and my ensuite say to me, "Good morning, Gavin. The weather today is da, 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 da." If it's on the weekend, the surf report is, and my ultimate surf break, how's it running because of a local surf report, down to what temperature I want the shower, whether I want the radio on or not, down to the point my bathroom should speak to my kitchen to say he's on his way and he wants a strong flat white. And you'd actually have that interaction. So we're getting close. The barrier at the moment is, how does the bathroom know it's you? Because people don't want cameras in their bathroom for privacy reasons, and that's fair. So how is it that it's identifying us within that realm? So when it comes to tech, that is my dream of a connected house, there's no doubt about it. But wellness is so important to most of our clients, and privacy is also a big key part of wellness within those zones, to be able to shut the door. It's one room. Now we're talking about bathrooms. It's one room of the home that it's acceptable to shut the door. The kids can't come in. No, we've got a private moment. So it's a time to immerse ourselves in water, dim lights, and push everything away. Steam rooms, saunas, everything coming into those little micro spaces. So there's challenges there, obviously, from a build perspective, because we're making these wet rooms really multifunctional. But from a technology perspective, voice command, lifting, voice command, opening, closing, and tech, there's no doubt about it. Look at the tech that we've all got on our wrist and in our pocket. Yeah, and that's just obviously coming into our homes.
Yeah, that idea that you mentioned about having a shower, then your bathroom speaks to your kitchen and makes you flat white.
Yep.
That idea is entirely foreign to me, and might be to you too, Richard. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
How close are we to this actually happening?
It's already happening overseas. The barrier that we have here is actually sort of the hard drive, the motherboard, if you like, to plug all of the many components in to speak into one main sort of driving system.
So you're saying that kind of home, or those kinds of capabilities, could be built into a home as long as it's designed in from the beginning?
Yeah, pretty well. But look, we've seen so much shift within a smart home. You know, there's some big brands that have, pulled the pin on certain smart and tech systems now. So we've put a full smart system into our studio, so we can walk in. Now I just walk in of a morning and just say "Good morning, studio," and all the lights come on, the air conditioning goes on to what it was yesterday, and it's there. So we'll have a good night mode or different types, scenes, and that sort of thing. So a lot of that is convenience, but it's also to show the clients how easy and seamless that is. But also that there's different points that it's not necessarily your friend. We've got a story at the moment, not on one of our jobs, but a builder shared with me last week that they put some automated blinds on a what we call a scene. So every day at a certain time, the blinds come down. Where when they're having a party and they've got 60 friends over, all of the doors and windows are wide open for inside-outside living. The breeze is blowing, next minute all the blinds come down. Well, it's a disaster for the blind company to have to come and repair those. So it's not always there, and how can tech continue to improve itself? Well, of course it is with AI, I suppose. But look, there's so much there to improve, I believe, the livability of our clients' homes into the future.
What sort of impact does that kind of technology have on the costs of building a bathroom, for example?
Actually, not a lot.
Okay.
Not a lot, because if you look at we're looking at a thermostatical control within the hot water system anyway. If the clients are saying, I want a certain pressure and temperature, well, we're already purchasing that. So how can that be plugged in? The underfloor heating system, we've already got a control panel on the wall. It's just a case of how do we now integrate that control panel in with the smart hub, if you like. So It's more just now getting the connection from all those individual brands and devices that we've already got in our home, and bringing that back to a hub. So look, we're not far away, and it's just, I suppose, it's a case of one or two big brands stepping up and saying, "Well, come on, let's do this, and let's go for it."
Speaking on the differences between the European and Australian market, can you tell us about your trip to Milan?
Oh, geez, let's get some red wine and and then a pesto platter out. Look, it's a golden rule. We head over every second year, so biannually. In the Milan Furniture Fair is what's called Rio de Cucina, and so that's the kitchen and bagnole fair. Every second year off that, there's the lighting. So generally we have the lighting year off and head over for kitchens and bathrooms. So two of us went over last year and had a look, and this is the world's biggest interior design, architecture and kitchen and bathroom fair. The effort and scale of this is, you can't describe. You think about it, we head down to the ICC and the convention centre here in Sydney and just think that, imagine it's 300-400 times the scale of that, but 2-story. And that's just out at the fair, let alone the city is transformed into design. And what might be a florist shop or a bike shop sort of this week gets bumped out, and a design practice, or not design practice, but products move in for that couple of week period.
So is this a global event?
It is. It's 300,000 or something like that designers flying in. Want to get flights in and accommodation, book early or be prepared to spend some big coin. So, but for us, it's a case of going and networking with the big brands that we work with here all the time, looking at what they're doing, but also really come back with a forecast of what's happening globally and how can we interpretate that into our client's home. And really sort of looking at, because the light and our sunlight and our weather here is very different to over there. But we've got some really, really big global leaders when it comes to joinery that ship their product internationally. So they're also looking at that through their lens of a global trend. So we therefore come back with all that in mind. And as we get our new projects across our desk, we can apply all that to it. We've got one at the moment where I'd seen a integrated TV system over there that's typically found on yachts only. And, we're pretty active on Instagram, so I end up interviewing the guy that was the designer and manufacturer of this said product. These clients have come our way, and Gavin, he said, this thing on your Instagram account, this is what we're having, whether you like it or not. So the things that we see, hardware, just design direction, it's a game changer. But for the staff and me as well, to come back and have that inspiration and that under your skin, it's incredible.
And it sounds like, importantly, not only are you guys inspired, but also your prospective customers are massively inspired by the way that you're sharing that. So that would be a massive driver.
It's a huge driver, and it's, we look at it too and go, we pride ourselves on perhaps being one of the leaders in Australia within this industry. We need to be at the forefront. We need to be there. We need to see what's going on and put our unique touch to what we're seeing and what we're doing.
So having gone there and witnessed what's there year on year, or every second year, like you said, how have you implemented that into your own designs back here?
Sometimes it happens organically.
So you're ahead of the curve?
Well, look, I suppose it's sometimes when I'm over there and I sort of think back to experiences, I think it was 2012 that I was there. And I've walked in and there's Pog and Pile was a huge kitchen joinery brand, global brand. And I've walked in there into one of their big displays and went, and I got my phone out and the guys I was with and went, look at this. And a project that I'd finished just locally, like a matter of a month beforehand, it was actually entered into a HIA award, was 90% the same as what we're looking at over there.
Okay.
So some of it too is a qualifier, not qualifier, but a confidence builder to say we're good. We're on track. We're doing the right things here. But sometimes it's the little hard. It's actually getting down and crawling inside a cabinet and having a look up and how have they achieved that really unique design detail that elevates the visual, elevates the client experience, and it actually gets to the point that all the tradies on site are just crazy for it because it's never really been seen or done here before. But it's quite, when you break it down, it's almost that, why didn't I think about that before? Now it's moment. You know,
Do you have any examples of that? Because a lot of people look at a kitchen and it's just, that's a drawer, that's a handle, that's a door.
Well, I suppose if we look back at a simple pocket door system, open the door 90 degrees and pocket itself away. Look at the advancements now. So from what Bloom and Herfeli with Howard Concepta are doing in that space, where we went back at, say, 2012, 2014, and we saw them en masse where there was just a whole black wall, of doors, where it would all bifold back to reveal then a functional kitchen. Back then we're going, oh my God, it's like a hidden kitchen. It's, where now it's something that's being asked for. And we get most clients are saying, I want an AM zone within their kitchen. So that's a space where it's hard working of a morning. So that's where jugs and toasters and cereals, all of that morning time is, because they're saying that that's the most chaotic time of their day. Up for work, going to school, everyone's time poor and pressure. Then outside, and they should be able to shut down after the breakfast zone time. They come home from work and school, you shouldn't see the craziness of the morning, so that pocket's away. Then a lot of clients saying, I want to walk in Friday afternoon and open my bar, but I don't really want to see it Monday morning through to Friday afternoon, because, the hectic nature of the week. And so we can open up and reveal the sexiest, hottest bar with everything on display, fridges, wine fridges, and everything set out like that. So there's no doubt we have been looking back at what we're seeing in Milan and the advancements in those hardware, and know that we can achieve it here because the brand on some of the hardware, when you're crawling in cabinets and looking at them, you can see what the brands are. So we know that we can get our hands on it.
Yep. Do you think Australians are adopting more of a European style of kitchen and bathroom?
Yes, I would say so, with our flavour on it. The biggest thing, like we all see, is the curves within the building industry that are still there when it comes to joinery. It's achievable, but it's so much more time, which is really hikes up the cost of the project, especially when you start curving stone. There's a lot in it. So we see very little of that in Milan, but a huge amount of it here. So Milan's about high volume of product being manufactured. Where here is obviously we are one-off custom design and one-off custom build for our clients. So therefore curves can lend itself into it. So when we sit down and have a vino with the guys in Europe and they look at our portfolio, they're amazed by the amount of curves that are in there.
Is that due to the space that we typically have to play with here, as opposed to people in Europe?
Well, we focus on ourselves here a lot. We're not necessarily the masses, So when we have clients in, it's all about them. It's not about what we have done in the past, in a way, and copy and pasting what we've done. It's very much about what is right for them and their forever home, So it's, a lot of our clients are not talking about an investment anymore. They're talking about we're staying there, and it's a multi-generational build. They're handing it to their kids. So how can this home morph and change through young kids to them moving out, uni, and it becomes a retirement home versus the kids coming back in with the grandchildren, if you like.
Can I flip that back to you? Like, if you were to name 5 things off the top of your head in creating a multi-generational home, what would they be?
Spaces that can easily transform into another use, if you like. So really looking at it and saying that what is a kitchen morphs and folds over into a bar. The AM zone might be now, but how can we transform that AM zone really easy and adapt it into a bar zone after perhaps the kids have gone off to uni and now a G&T or a whiskey is on order, where obviously when the kids are younger, it's more about them and bringing them up. Into TV spaces, what might be a home work area now becomes a larger TV and entertaining sort of area in that realm, and just outside spaces how that can transform. We've got one at the moment. We're project on large home where now the kids have moved out. We've been able to set it up so the downstairs was always easy to put a new wall in, and they're going to Airbnb the downstairs out because we'd actually always put a separate kitchen in for the kids. So it's really, I look at it and going, if that's the case, think harder and smarter about what that looks like.
Are bathrooms much of a consideration in multi-generational?
Yes, I'd say they are. And a lot of that is also the materials that are being used for the longevity of them, and a bit of the look and feel. We speak a lot about how do our clients want to feel in the space before we go and say, what are the materials? What is the longevity of that, depending on how they want to feel.
Yeah, a little bit earlier on when we were talking about the technology or the future look of bathrooms and kitchens, you talked a fair bit about the technology, but when it comes to the look and the feel, what sort of things do you sort of foresee playing out there?
I don't think natural organic materials will ever go anywhere. When we talk timbers and stone, they're from the Australian environment. It's something that we're immersed with, even in the city and parklands and things like that. So, as Aussies, we like to be grounded. We like to take our shoes off and put it in the grass or in the sand at the beach. So I believe even an elevated interior will always have a lot of natural stone and a lot of natural timbers in there, even where the timbers lend over into melamines and pre-finished boards, but it's still got that nature to it. But greens and a lot of warmth and texture is always trending in a way, but it's definitely there at the moment, which is really nice because it sort of tells us from, being in this industry for well over 30 years, I look at it and go, every time there's a little bit more colour and texture into it also means confidence, which means there's perhaps some economical better times on the horizon as well. So I'm pretty excited to see that the colour and texture's trending at the moment.
So you just sorry to cut you off, mate. I just wonder if you could play that out a little bit more for those listening. So your feeling is that when the designs become a little bit more adventurous, it's an indication of market confidence of a positive economic future.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. When we see bad media, if you like, about cost of living, which quite clearly we're in at the moment, but tougher times, generally we see the grandma's doily come out in a way that it's safe design. It's very conservative. It's something that we've grown up with, and that's when the white on white comes out consistently. A style that clients wanted a lot due to that COVID and post-COVID period was Hamptons. They felt that it was safe and it was a go-to easy style that we thought we should, as Aussies, adopt into easily because we are an island and we lend in there. But yes, what I'm saying is there's some colour and texture on the horizon, and of 30-odd years in the industry, that shows me, of looking at the charts and the graphs, that there's some good times on the horizon.
Design as an economic barometer.
Here we go.
Are you looking at all the information that you're getting through like the HIA and those forecasts and then making
100%.
those predictions?
And, being on the committees and being the chair of the New South Wales Kitchen and Bathroom Committee sort of puts me on a few subsequent committees within HIA. So getting a first-hand look at a lot of those reports is really, really handy. And looking at the growth as well of over the last 10 years and what's currently being forecasted as well is really, really positive. So, especially in kitchen and bathroom spaces, we touched base on earlier about the expense of those areas. But at the moment, all of the stats are trending and being forecast, more importantly, to be really, really solid.
During and post-COVID, have you noticed a shift in people doing more so renovations and new builds?
That's a difficult one for me to answer, I suppose. It's because we have a lot of both of those on our books. A lot of high-end renovations, a lot of just kitchens or bathrooms as well, through to full-home new builds. So most of our full homes are quite exclusive large architectural homes that we are a key part of that team early on. So we're not the builder, but we're the part of that key design team. And on a lot of occasions, I am also the joinery contractor because I still hold my joinery contractor's license. My family also owns a joinery shop. So through that, I've become the primary joinery contractor on the project, but are there for all key design decisions throughout the actual build.
It wouldn't be a conversation about kitchen and bathrooms if we didn't talk a little bit about compliance.
Yep.
And look, and for good reason, because it's waterproofing is the biggest warranty claim. Silica is a hot issue. So I suppose it's a bit of a double-barrel question. The first is, can you just give us a then and now version of the silica situation and what's required? And the second part of the question is really about what's the future look like in terms of compliance for kitchens and bathrooms?
Yeah, silica, something that, in my opinion, has had to happen. The importers of the product were well aware of it the day that they imported it in. They did have an option to bring a zero silica product in. So when I sort of looked at it, being someone in the industry who'd been there for so long, of knowing how it played out, it had to happen. It has happened. It caused a lot of issues, quite clearly. Caused a lot of headaches, a lot of waste of time, and a lot of unnecessary investment. We're on the other side now. There's some great new product. All it's done is, unfortunately, is probably pushed up the cost of stonemason work more than what it was previously, because the old engineered stone was so easy and quick for them to cut. That they're a bit hesitant perhaps of some of the new brands and new products and taking a bit longer. So it's actually has raised the bottom line of the end result on a lot of occasions. Compliance, what a big one. Look at NCC and the changes that are there. Look, when it comes to kitchens, not a huge impact. Livability is something that we are keeping a close eye on here in New South Wales. Haven't adopted that yet. Obviously, other states have, but that will change on how we view kitchens designs here in New South Wales very shortly. Obviously, bathrooms and compliance is a big one. From a joinery perspective, not so much, but from the bathroom renovation, quite clearly. And it's for us, from a design detail perspective, we've got more cross-sections and more details in wet areas than we do in any other room of the home on our actual documents. It just takes time, A, to understand, and B, to make sure that the right message is getting put through. So therefore the build happens as everything comes and the certifiers and inspectors are coming, that actually can keep moving forward.
How do you approach a renovation in a, say, 25-year-old home where your floor levels are flush going through from your main floor to your bathroom, and now you need step downs? How does that look now?
It looks like a hell of a lot of time, a lot of meetings, and in some occasions builders just walking away because they're just saying, look, I'm sorry, we can't achieve that.
So you have to, even if the home is 25 years old, you have to build to the current new standards.
Yeah, look, there's some ways around things. Why I always look at it at the end of it, our client should be happy with the final outcome. All right, we do have some rules and we have some compliance things that we, as a professional group of people, need to adhere to and adopt to build to current standards and current regulation for the client to be happy at the end of what they've got. So keeping the client at the core of that umbrella is absolutely imperative, but it's then the right team, even down to engineers, to say this is what we need to achieve to have a flush transition. Can we do that? And we've got several apartments at the moment, in class 2 and set downs, and it just cannot happen, because we're 20, 30-year-old apartments. You might be on the 7th floor level of a 20-story apartment building. Well, we can't start cutting the slabs.
Granted, it's only really just come in, but have you noticed much of a decline in people doing bathroom renovations because of it?
Yes, and not not necessarily because of compliance. It's more because of the cost of bathroom renovations. And because of compliance, the cost of bathroom renovations has gone up. I still get a little bit of price shock as final quotes are being passed across my desk at the moment for bathroom renovations. And think, oh my gosh, if we'd done this, 7 years ago, it would have been 20K cheaper. But it is what it is to build it today. It is the cost, and we all know us within the building industry are there to make a reasonable margin and go home and be able to keep a roof over our family's head.
A little bit earlier on, you spoke about the cost impacts of stonemasons, with the new silica regulations. What sort of dollar rate, or what sort of real money terms does that affect the price of the build?
Yeah, look, even looking at some of the HIA forecasting there, and it can be up to that sort of 20 to 30%
increase.
Yeah, because a lot of the newer products as well are more expensive per square metre or per sheet.
This is the cost of the stone.
Well,
and the
stone and
the
also labour to actually do it. So the labour side of things, obviously the stonemasons are heavily regulated now as well within air quality and getting health checks and all those sort of things. Water jet cutters are not cheap, so now they've had to invest in a lot more machinery and a lot of setup. So that quite clearly needs to be passed down the line. So at the moment, we're just in this bubble of time that a lot of them are still perhaps adjusting to new materials and new cutting methods. Not necessarily new cutting methods, all materials that we know in the building industry generally have got a data sheet on how to work with them, how to cut them. No different in the stone world. There's a cut speed, there's a plunge rate, and how you need to work with it and what type of tooling. I suppose a lot of them were lazy and could get away with it previously because the old engineered stone products you could pretty well cut with anything and they were still successful, where now they're a lot harder to work with and more durable product. But we see natural stone is just on big demand.
Okay.
And a lot of the time there was this myth out there that natural stone was always more expensive. Some occasions it was actually cheaper than what engineered stone was.
Doesn't it wear worse though?
Depends on the species of stone. If you look at something, we've got some incredible quartzites that are very, very, very hard and tough and hard wearing, but beautiful veins and colours. So any quartzite is going to be our client's best friend for a long time, but it's like cutting steel virtually for the stone fabricators. It's a very hard stone for them to cut. So we need to be mindful of that in design detail too. Once we're doing curved details and everything, what species and what type of stone is it that can actually achieve what it is? We've got some great contacts in this industry that we can lend to, and stone suppliers, and say, this is our design detail, this is what we're thinking. Do you agree with the specification of this species of stone?
Yep. Just in terms of the way, and it's a bit of a change in pace, the way that different people are coming into the industry now, are you seeing that there are, historically, particularly for builders, the well-worn path of being a chippy and then becoming a builder, and and so on and so on. Are you seeing a different career path or a different trajectory that plays out when it comes to kitchens and bathrooms?
Not necessarily. It's obviously apprentice is the key and the core. I'd say where I'm noticing is throughout their apprenticeship and their time in the trade, they're realising that there's different roles to take, and one of them might be sitting behind the screen, because there's all computer-aided machinery now is cutting all the joinery out. So the value of a great joinery apprentice that's tech savvy, they're pretty valuable to have within this industry. So I would say the possibilities within the joinery industry is what I'm seeing shifting and changing, versus even the old school standing at a saw and cutting panels is now gone because it comes off the CNC. So I sort of think back to me as an apprentice and cut stock sizes for wall cabinets and floor cabinets, those sort of things, where now our design documents go to the joiner, that goes straight to their machine, and it's cut to the millimetre of our design detail. So it's up the ante of design possibilities, up the ante of functionality, and also shifted a little bit inside that mindset of a joinery shop, I suppose.
Yeah. Is that something that's completely been left in the past now, like cutting fixed panels and whatnot?
I would hope so. But there's still a lot of old heads on old shoulders in this industry, I suppose.
There'd be a lot of sentiment in it too for a lot of people.
Yeah, look, I understand that at the end of it as well, there's efficiencies, sort of in the quantities, and sort of pushing them out. It's probably more in the design to say that we've only got 3, say, wall cabinet heights that we ever put in. Anything above that is a bulkhead to the ceiling and those sort of things. So if they've got a slow time, that they could always mass produce those cabinets sort of for the future. We very rarely deal with mass-produced joinery companies, within my design firm, because generally everything is got a unique dimension to it and size specifically to meet the client's requirements, right? So, but yeah, look, I hope that those stock sizes in a way is already a thing in the past.
Yeah, so just speaking to you, it's clear that you have an absolute wealth of knowledge, not just about construction, but also about design, also about the future trend in the industry. All of those things, with that as a backdrop, what are the things in the industry specifically for kitchens and bathrooms that you would like to see change? What are the opportunities to improve the way the industry works?
For me, it's the broader industry coming together as one. I still see that there's a little bit of a divide between tradies and other professional services, whether it's an architect or an engineer or interior designer, if you like. If we all come together more, we can all benefit more for our own bottom line. And most importantly, the client reaps the rewards. They get a better product. Yep. And if we all come together earlier, it's actually a cheaper build for the client because we're actually nibbing issues in the bud before they become issues. So I will see that my biggest thing is the industry coming together from professional services and trades early on, and respecting one another for what it is. And that's me as a tradie saying that to my design self, I suppose, because it's, 90% of my time is actually sitting there clicking a mouse and drafting and design detailing. The other is on site, managing sites and our designs and how that's actually working.
On the back of that and keeping your client in the forefront of your mind, what design, what things do you implement into your design to get a really good ROI for clients?
It's really being aware of the products we're using, A, that they're fit for purpose, B, that they meet code, that they belong there, so they are truly fit for purpose. If it's non-combustible needed, that we are specifying non-combustible. Being aware of the limitations of that product and the sheet sizes that they come in, making sure our design detail is within those sheet sizes.
It's very practical information, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in other words, so fundamentally what you're saying is if a designer has a the capacity or the ability to have a pragmatic understanding of what happens in the build, the client benefits massively.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and it should be all about a client, right? Yeah. And so I see it time and time that we all get some documents put on our desk and there's this frustration of, well, we really like what we're seeing. And this is something that's happened from another design firm. It looks great in a 3D image, but the buildability of it and to achieve it, oh my gosh, it would cost a serious bomb. Yep. So how can we simplify that and actually have almost that same visual, put more functionality to it, and actually do it to our client's budget, as long as our client's budgets are realistic for what they want to achieve.
Is there anything else that you put into that you get a really good return on investment in?
The biggest thing for me is collaboration. Is coming in, return on investment is collaboration and working together.
So it's not about that nice tap. It's not about that drawer handle. It's about coming in early.
Yep.
Really discussing and nutting out everything that needs to happen.
100%, because it's one thing for us to look at that nice tap and think, oh, well, I could get 35 or 40% margin on that instead of 20%, 20% if you like. But it's at the end of it, if it's not right for the client and, let's say it's an in-wall body, mixer body, but we've got a concrete construction, the cost to achieve that, and it doesn't end up going in. So we're really, really conscious early on about the overall picture here and what we need to achieve. Efficiencies in time, for me, is the biggest winner within this topic, is actually being efficient and having the ultimate outcome for the client. Instead of chasing margins, instead of chasing those things, keep a focus actually on the client and what we need to achieve for them, not necessarily the bottom line. And this is, looking back and from 30 odd years at different points when, some big brands might sort of say, look, we'll give you some great margins here. Let's, start pushing our product. And it's great at the time, but you sort of review that 6 months in and you soon realise that the additional time that's needed and re-specification and reboxing and restocking fees wasn't the right. We lost a little bit of focus from our clients at that point and started to chase the bottom line.
Yep. Mate, that's great. I'd now like to invite you to play a game that we have on Made to Build.
Okay.
It's called Under the Hammer.
Look out.
Now, on the bench in front of you, there are 5 hammers.
There is.
We're going to pick up 3 of them. One at a time, that is.
I've got to say, I can't juggle.
Got 3 hands. And read out the question aloud and then answer the question, please.
All right. Hope I've got the right way up, wasn't it? When was the last time you learnt something new? I hope it was this morning. I'm a big one of saying I should learn something every day. For me, it was actually a program thing. We had a DWG, a CAD file, wanting to put it into a 3D Revit model. I wanted to achieve that really quickly before I hit the road and come here today. I was confident I could do that within 45 minutes. I learnt that the version of software that we have no longer allows me to do that. So it taught me this morning that I need to allocate a little bit more time when it comes to using these programs and technology, because it doesn't always work.
This morning's lesson was patience.
Yes.
All right, hammer number 2.
All right. Name the only tool you can live without. That you can't live without, sorry. The only tool you can't live without. Besides my stubby holder, it'd probably be my phone, images, site images, and recording progress of our projects. So my phone, from a work perspective, and capturing our projects would be it's an amazing tool. It's used every day. We upload images into our system, so all the team can look at images. So sadly enough, it's my phone.
It's the ultimate multi-tool.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah. All right, the last hammer. What's the worst DIY disaster you've ever witnessed? That'd be waterproofing. We went into a job once and the clients had done the demo themselves. And it was a concrete floor, and they decided to also waterproof before we had got there. And so the floor had up to 60 millimetre high and low points, if you like, and they just waterproofed straight over that. There was no screeds, there was nothing happening. So after we all had a little bit of a laugh about it and explained of why that wasn't appropriate, obviously we nibbed that in the bud. But yeah, that was still, and this was probably a good 15 years ago that was actually the case. So, yeah, waterproof.
Well, what a way to end. Gavin, thank you so much for coming on today. For the people watching, where can they find you?
Website is conceptsbygavinhepper.com, and big on socials, and probably more Instagram, so at conceptsbygavinhepper. Hit us up with questions. I'm a big one to network and be part of a community. So yeah, I'd love for anyone to hit us up with any questions, and we can follow one another and form a bigger community.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on today.
Really appreciate it. I love being here. Thanks,
That's
guys.
great, Gavin. Really enjoyed it, and really learned a lot. You have a wealth of knowledge about this, so it was awesome to spend the time.
Thank you.
That's
Appreciate
great.
it.
All right, so that's Made to Build with the HIA. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time. Bye for now.